Hello and welcome to my channel. I went to lose gaming. So I wanted to make this quick and casual video to provide my thoughts on the upcoming patch and also recent happenings in the Genshin Impact community. So MIHOYO has surprised all of us with never before seen character previews for Sayu and Yoimiya. Yoimiya looks like a pyro bow user and I absolutely love her design, and she appears to be firework themed, while Sayu looks like some kind of animo ninja. And what better way is there to decrease interest in the upcoming Klee and Kazuha banners than for them to leak their own characters? Now it appears to me that MIHOYO is trying to be a little bit more proactive with their own reveals of beta information in a way to try to get ahead of leakers in the community. And although the information on these characters from MIHOYO is very sparse right now, I actually think that it's a good thing to see that they are being more proactive on letting us know what's coming in the future, compared to how they used to wait until right before release before divulging any such details. Like they would wait until the live stream for the next patch rolls around. Like I said, I think this is a sign that perhaps MIHOYO wants to actually be a bit more proactive prior to releases. And the second thing that I want to point out is the INAZUMA Islands. And in case you aren't aware, the new islands in 1.6 are temporary as mentioned in their patch notes and will only be around during patch 1.6. So hear me out on this one. I know this one may not seem like MIHOYO is actually listening to the community, but they're listening in a different way. And perhaps they're listening to data and various analytics that they have. But first of all, the islands are likely to be a very temporary home for Kazuha's materials when Kazuha is released. There's no way that after patch 1.6, players won't be able to build Kazuha at all. So that means that a huge INAZUMA patch is likely coming very soon. And since day one of Genshin Impact's release, when we had Mondstadt and Liyue, people were clamoring for INAZUMA and asking when INAZUMA is coming. And next, let's also rewind a bit and take a look at Dragonspine. Dragonspine is a beautiful place and it was a ton of fun for a week or so when it was released, but honestly now look at it. I personally only ever go to Dragonspine when I need more pinewood or if there's an occasional daily there. And given the tremendous amount of storage space that Dragonspine takes, we have to consider the pragmatism of such a large new area such as the 1.6 INAZUMA Islands that are likely to be very temporary, especially in terms of player retention. So Dragonspine takes up a ton of space and the 1.6 islands appear to as well, seeing as the most recent patch for me on PC was over 10 gigabytes. And I already downloaded it, so that's why I don't have the exact file size, but if I remember it was around 10 or 11 gigabytes. For the islands, if they're permanent, people aren't really going to go to them unless there's massive incentive to, and they're probably just going to move a lot of the resources from the islands over to INAZUMA. So in my opinion, removing the islands and also by making them a temporary event, we really get to cherish and enjoy that experience a lot more than if they're permanent. And in a way, then simply removing the islands to free up a ton of storage space and then adding INAZUMA will be a great way to accommodate a lot of more restrictive mobile devices. The next big thing I'm super excited for are the Electro Buffs. In the patch note, MIHOYO stated the damage caused by major reactions, Electrocharge, Superconduct, Overload, Swirl, and Shatter are being increased, and so is the amount of damage bonus gained from Elemental Mastery. Now we don't know for sure the exact amount of the buffs yet until the patch is actually released, but if I had to guess, it's around double the damage. So boosting the damage of these electro reactions will open up a lot more interesting and fun playstyles. And it also might create some new viable team compositions. Speaking of which, this Klee banner seems like an interesting Overload comp, and I really doubt that this was accidental, given that Fischl and Sucrose are both in it as well. So I'll be showcasing this Overload comp shortly after 1.6 is released. I'm not willing to say that it's going to be really powerful or anything, but at the very least I think it will be viable, which will be a lot of fun to try out. So the next thing that I think is an amazing update, even though it's pretty small, is keyboard shortcuts. And this is a huge deal to me personally. I know that this isn't applicable to the mobile players or the console players, but for PC players, this party selection screen shortcut is going to save a ton of time. Right now you need to press escape, then move your mouse over and click on the party icon, and this action takes around 2 seconds every single time. And with how often I switch parties and stuff, this will add up to a lot of time saved in the long run. After 1.6, you can simply press the P key. While this may on the surface value seem like a small addition, this is an indicator that MIHOYO is still focused on listening to quality of life requests. And it appears that MIHOYO will continue to add additional quality of life updates. For example, I would love to see some hotkeys when navigating menus, such as confirming when you want to craft stuff instead of moving your mouse all the way back and forth every time, as well as confirming dispatches, blacksmith stuff, and cooking, etc. Some hotkeys for confirm would be great. And finally, the thing that I'm most excited for personally are cosmetics. It's about time that we're finally getting some costumes for some characters. And one of them being this barber costume, which is completely free for a completely free to play character, whereas the other costume, the Jean costume, will be paid for however many Genesis crystals, somewhere between $10 to $30 worth of Genesis crystals. So the community has been asking for costumes since day one of Genshin Impact's release, and not only do I personally think that these two costumes look amazing, I'm also really excited to see what future costumes are coming. Some interesting information about this. I also polled my audience on this, and it seems like around 23% of you plan to get Jean's costume. Given that in another one of my polls, 31% of you are 100% free to play, if we remove that 31% from the pool of the people considering buying the Jean costume, then 23% of the 69% of non-free to play players plan to buy the costume. This means that roughly 1/3 of paying players will probably end up getting the Jean costume. Now, of course, I think a very small percent of free to play players may be converted into paying for the Jean costume, so my previous assumption may not be entirely accurate, but it appears that MIHOYO is going to be raking in quite a bit of money from the Jean costume, and that will definitely encourage them to make more costumes for more characters. And this has been a highly requested thing ever since day one of Genshin Impact's release. So what do you guys think about all this? Do you take all this as signs that MIHOYO is listening to their player base? I personally think so, and I'm really excited for 1.6 as well as for the eventuality of INAZUMA's release. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. This is I Went to Lose, signing out.
しびれす走行のオン砕け散れ